All right, welcome to Squad Talks,
Ooh,
where the girls are green and the grass is pretty.
It's a crazy alien planet. There's probably a planet like that in No Man's Sky somewhere.
No.
All right, wait, what's our topic? We never decided.
That was the wrong topic, Alex. God damn it!
It was just a joke. Jesus.
No.
I'll be in my trailer.
Well, that sure is a sentence that reminds me of player responsibility fact.
Yeah.
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 Nothing brightens my day and brings me back to the good old days of player responsibility more than that thing you just said.
But Alex, whatever do you mean by player responsibility?
Well, you see, Ethan.
Look, I only work under certain conditions. You've read my contract.
Okay, but Ethan,
you've had many vigorous conversations with my union.
Ethan, oh, vigorous would not even begin to fucking describe him. Ethan has a lot of opinions, as do we all.
Yeah.
Look.
About the way that video games should
I want to
work.
start this off with a little anecdote, right?
Okay.
Alex, the other day I saw this homeless man
It's a
on the
story
street. And he really reminded me of you because he pulled out this gun and he shot himself right in the head. And I don't know, man, that really just touched me. It really just reminded me of you. Anyways, that's my anecdote.
Okay.
Players need more responsibility. It's really a metaphor for how players act in games. Shoot themselves right in the fucking face.
All right, welcome to Squad Talks.
We're just restarting the whole thing.
We're gonna ignore what just happened, what just went down.
Okay, well,
welcome to Squad Talks.
yeah.
Your number one stop for fuck
Squads
boys
and talks.
and white boys.
And chicken wings.
Yes, America's number one stop for chicken wings.
Okay,
Today
so
we're talking about player responsibility. Alex, take us off.
Yes.
Take us away.
okay, so by player responsibility, we don't just mean like in general, like you're responsible for your fucking bills or whatever. I don't know your life. I don't know what you pay for, but we mean in online games, right? What people have to do or should do, and how designers can design around that or shouldn't have to sometimes.
Yeah.
Or like just that whole situation. And there's a ton of examples right now as more and more games are moving to online, which a lot are these days. That's like a big thing, is that every game's got to be fucking multiplayer online.
Yeah, exactly.
Suck a fat corporate dick.
Yeah, and if we're gonna be forced to go online, we should have the conversation about player responsibility and different things like friendly fire and kind of social responsibilities that we as players owe to each other and stuff like that. Like if we're gonna be forced into this, we might as well talk about what the guidelines should be, right?
Yeah. Well, okay, so I think a good place to we'll start in the general and then we'll move on to like a little more specific stuff.
Okay.
So just in general, what would a good code of ethics be? And two, even broader than that, do you think it's reasonable to ever expect that gaming as a community could ever successfully follow something like that?
Like, this is what I say. It's all context driven. You can't just say that, oh, players owe it to each other to be good always, and that game designers shouldn't have to design around it. Because there are demographics, there are, I guess, certain types of games that it's basically impossible to kind of foster good communities within those games. Yeah. Either because the demographic of the clientele is just, shitty little fuckboys. Not going to name any games, but Call of Duty. Or the types of games kind of don't really allow for that. Maybe they're maybe overly specific types of game genres, or they're overly broad. Not going to name any games, but Call of Duty. So it's very context driven, right?
Yeah.
Everything we're going to say in this video is going to have some sort of caveat to it, right?
Of course.
But Yeah. So where do we want to start off with specific player? Do we want to start off with game mechanics? Like, do we want to talk about friendly fire as an easy one?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
sure,
mean, just
let's go there.
we'll talk about what game you were thinking of specifically, Ethan.
Yeah. I want to talk about two games that sometimes use friendly fire and sometimes don't. Call of Duty, and we use Rainbow Six Siege as a new one, because Siege has had a really interesting go from the start, ever since the alpha.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, you can kind of just kill the hostage, where is this going to lead to? And killing the hostage, whenever you're playing the hostage game mode, just instantly ends the round, right? And so if you're defending the hostage, you can just, put a bullet in their brain, and then boom, game's over. And the cool thing was, in the alpha, from all the reports and all the people who I had seen who reviewed the game, they didn't see a whole lot of that.
Yeah.
And that was really cool, because, I was looking at it, and I was, at the time, any game that I had played like that, kind of like this really fast-paced, one life per round kind of thing, was, Counter-Strike, or Call of Duty, Search and Destroy, hardcore Search and Destroy by that point.
Yeah.
So, I was like, that's kind of cool, because you don't see that in a whole lot of other games, where you kind of have a community who gets together and they're just not shitheads.
Yeah.
That's kind of impressive on some level. But people were still a little worried because it's the alpha, right? And if you're playing the alpha, especially a closed alpha, you're kind of a certain type of person, right?
Yeah.
It's not just everyone. And then the game came out, and opening week, from the reports and reviews that I saw, it actually wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, because opening week, you have everyone.
Yeah.
You have all the fuckboys, all the good players, all the
10-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was kind of cool. And as I started playing the game, I think I bought the game 2 months after it came out. You saw a lot of player responsibility, not a lot of team killing. If there was, it was on accident. No one was even killing the hostages, attackers or defenders, either way. It was cool, right? You didn't even think about it, right? You almost forgot that there was friendly fire was on.
Yeah.
But something I've realized recently, as players have started leaving the game, because, it's getting old for a game like that.
Yeah.
It's getting old, people have already played the fucking 11 maps or whatever it is. The social structure has broken down, in a sense, to the point where if you'll join a game, and maybe one person accidentally gets shot. Maybe you're shooting at a drone, or you're, I don't know, trying to bust down a door or something like that. Maybe you accidentally, clip a friendly every once in a while. Everything goes to shit. People start murdering each other. Friends, enemies start murdering enemies. People start killing the hostage. It's just a total psychological breakdown. And what happens is, if you play games after midnight, you'll basically enter a lobby, everyone will give each other a nervous look, they'll point weapons at each other, someone will hold a C4 next to their head.
Somebody throws a rock at Piggy dies, everything goes to shit.
It's just Lord of the Flies mode, instantly. And so the question it kind of asks is, does player responsibility have, a half-life?
Yeah.
Rainbow Six didn't, the team, the friendly fire and the whole hostage thing is obviously in there to kind of create this sense of realism and tension.
Yeah.
And specifically, having the hostage be able to take damage and die makes it a different game mode. As an attacker, you can't just, throw a fucking frag grenade into the hostage room and expect it to kill the enemies and not harm the hostage. It does change up the game mode, and it's a cool thing to add. But you're having this, social breakdown in this game where you'll join a lobby, and you'll join a lobby with, let's say 4 other guys. And it turns out those 4 other guys are on a team, and they're only playing to kill the 5th guy. And you'll join, they'll fucking flashbang you, they'll shoot you until you're down, they'll teabag your body for 3 minutes,
As is only natural.
Yeah, exactly, and then leave you to bleed out
what you signed up
the
for.
game.
Well, I feel like this might be a kind of unintended consequence, right? Of this new thing that we're having where, so all these games had really successful, Call of Duty had a really successful online multiplayer. So now all these games want to do online multiplayer, and they're looking at the most successful online multiplayer games, which are things like World of Warcraft, which are MMOs. So now we are having all of these sort of half MMO like inspired like online things like Destiny or Division, or like I feel like even to an extent, like even though it's got like the random matches, like this game, it has a little more of those kind of elements than you would see in like an old Call of Duty. And by this game I mean the Rainbow.
Yeah.
And so it's creating this weird half measure where you don't have like a character per se, and you don't have like a community. Like these are random lobbies for most part.
Yeah.
And so you don't have any like overarching game social structure. Like in World of Warcraft, like people might have troll accounts every once in a while, but like there was like a sense of community and like society enough in the game itself that you didn't super have to worry about things like that a lot.
Yeah.
Like if you were in like a clan and you guys have been building towards like a raid for like months or weeks or whatever, like no one in your party was just gonna start team killing. You know what I mean? Like it's not something that was ever gonna happen. Like it wasn't even on people's radar as a thing to like worry about.
I mean, yeah, like if you play like Minecraft, like on like a server or something, on like a server where like a bunch of like a lot of like strangers get on it or whatever, there always comes a point where there's a griefer. Somebody just comes around and starts like messing with people's houses, or whatever they build, like fucking burns it down or fucks it up somehow. And so, always it leads to like the admin for the server having to like track down and figure out whoever did it, or like freeze the server or whatever. And it always fucks everything up.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm trying to get at with this whole Rainbow thing is recently, it's not just these one people, right? It's turned into almost an epidemic where it's this very like end of the world kind of feeling where everyone wants to play Rainbow, right? But at a certain point, like literally join a game after dinner time and things are going to shit. I don't know why. What the night is doing. Maybe the full moons are fucking with people's minds or some shit. But it's just the way things are now, and it's this whole like trust no one kind of atmosphere, right? And so a lot of people are like, should Rainbow turn off friendly fire in casual, just casual, right? The casual game modes, and maybe either A, just turn it off, or B, turn it into what Call of Duty used after they encountered some of these problems, turn it into mirror damage, right? So any damage you do to a friendly is dealt to you instead, which kind of keeps up the realism. But yeah, like it really came to a point the other day when I was playing with a friend who just got the game.
Yeah.
And is rather new. And it was late at night, and I was kind of explaining to him, I was like, you'll probably join a lobby, where someone's just going to friendly fire you. Or, and I was just telling him about this. And as I was telling him about this, someone shot me in the leg with a pistol. And so I killed that person. And I was just like, yeah, this is just how it is now. And it's just it's this whole weird, like, don't trust no one, Western fucking
don't trust
outlaw.
No one.
Yeah.
So trust everyone?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't trust no one, you hear? Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I mean, I think that raises the question, is this like a societal flaw, a player flaw, or is it, do you think it's a full-on, like, game design flaw?
I honestly think there's a half-life to it.
Yeah, because I kind of tend towards it being a game design flaw. Of like what the game incentivizes.
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I guess the game doesn't really incentivize it. How explain that?
Well, because you can just have systems that incentivize different things, right? Mm-hmm. So like I said earlier, like World of Warcraft, like the incentive is to work together. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And obviously, like, the general goal of this game is beat the other team.
Yeah.
The general goal of Rainbow is, like, hey, destroy the other team, right? And I think that may be kind of where they stopped thinking about it. Like, they were like, all right, so the goal of this game is to destroy the other team. And they just didn't really think about their incentive game past that. Because they just assumed that anyone playing this game, their incentive in playing it would be to just do that.
Yeah.
Because that is the point of the game. And so I don't think they worked in any other kind of like that, for example, perfect example of it in a kind of a general way is like, don't shoot them because that'll hurt you. Like literally in the game, like mirror damage. Like that's how but the incentives can be more subtle than that too. Like in World of Warcraft, where like you can do friendly fire. I think maybe not. But even if you could, but like the incentive game is to work towards this goal with like a community. So even though you can do all these things, just the way the social incentives work, you don't.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they didn't super think of how to play the incentive game beyond.
So
just
do you think there should be more of a personal incentive in the game to get to the end or to not team kill someone?
Yeah, I think the way, like, they have to think about like the way their design choices are going to affect the culture of their game.
So
like,
how would you like fix this problem then?
Because there's a couple things. You know, we've already talked about mirror damage. They're like Halo adopted like really strict friendly fire rules, and Call of Duty in its later years did the mirror damage. They also took very strict rules where if you team kill 3 times in the same game,
you get kicked,
something like that. And
there's
the problem with
that.
Rainbow does it too. But the problem is Rainbow, I feel like they just didn't really think about it, because right now
that's what I'm saying.
This is their only disincentive. You lose points, a lot of points, anytime you kill a hostage or anytime you friendly fire. But killing the hostage does not boot you from the game. And you have a maximum of 2 friendly fires per round, right? That you can get before getting kicked. So you can kill a friendly once per round, every round, until the game is over. And the problem is you get these roaming band of people, they'll get 4 players, and they'll just team kill whoever joins their lobby, and then play without them. Because they can do that. They have 4 members that can all kill 1 friendly per round, so they'll never get booted.
And I think the biggest problem with that is that all of those are in individual match incentives. And they're not a culture game-wide incentive. Like, all those incentives only apply when you, as a character, are physically playing a match. But the second you're out of that match, none of those incentives apply to you anymore.
Yeah,
like, there's no reason for you to not then go to the next lobby and do the same thing.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
So, I think the only thing that I can think of, and I haven't thought about this a lot, I'm just thinking right now, is if you had some sort of, like team...
team kill count?
No, kind of like a team level, like a literal in-game measurement of like
rating.
Ooh,
that's interesting.
A teamwork rating, and like they could even go to the extent of like, well, one, even if it's just there and it's just a number that the game crunches based on how you play and how many team kills you get and hostage kills you get. Even if they don't do anything beyond that, just have a number. The second somebody comes into a lobby with a low number, they know that everybody else knows to watch out for that specific person.
That's really interesting.
Because it stops there from being this, like, I don't know who to trust. Because if you get on and someone's got, like, a really high, like, like a 2 or whatever, which means they've, like, barely ever killed anybody, and, they maybe have accident. Like, it's clear, like, anything they've ever done has been an accident. Like, they don't go around. And you get someone that comes in with, like, a 58.
That's a really cool idea, and I think it's because, like, a lot of, like... There is elitism in a lot of these kind of like community-driven games.
Yeah.
And in Rainbow, you're not a character, right?
Exactly.
You're playing as limited amounts of characters. So really, you're just a number.
Yeah.
Your rank. You have 2 ranks. So you have your overall rank, and then you have your actual ranking, which is just like how good you are at the ranked multiplayer. And then besides that, you have KD, and you have your win ratio.
Yeah.
And so you're just a number. So the cool thing about your idea is it's another number, right? But that's all that players are in this game, so it's a cool way to display it. I kind of like that.
And like originally, I was thinking that like they can maybe even have like different servers for like higher numbers, but like I feel like that might not even be necessary.
I don't think it'll be necessary
because
at all.
People would, one, already know, and 2, it's so inherently competitive, like that it would become this meta game of keeping that number low, even if it doesn't actually achieve anything.
Yeah,
like it's just like. There's just like an instinct, especially in games like that, where you're only ranked by your numbers of like I could fuck around for a while, but that's gonna make my number higher, and then I don't like that. Like
people want to play with me,
or not even necessarily that. Just like I don't like the fact that number is higher now. Like I just want that number to stay low because that's the win state in this game, and I want to feel like I'm winning.
Okay.
Like, so, and I feel like that would change the culture. And that would change like the meta game, right? Like they're too focused on like what happens in each individual match, But as soon as you're out of that match, you know, you're still an asshole laughing at how you fucked everybody, and then you go to the next one and you're still that asshole.
Yeah,
and I think the problem that you're describing is that nobody knows who that asshole is.
Exactly.
Like, you go in the game and you're like, which one of these like stoic game faces are like some some fucking cackling 10-year-old who's gonna teabag my face after noob tubing me 5 times. Like,
I like that. One of the other things I want to talk about now, I think we've kind of covered at least kind of mechanical stuff, is elitism. Because oftentimes, I think elitism was a big problem in Destiny, and people started leaving that. I think a little bit of this happens in, what's Tom Clancy's new, The Division?
Division, yeah.
And there is a little bit of in Rainbow, too. And we'll talk about that briefly, because we already kind of covered Rainbow. But there is a vote to kick system, and you can do it at any time. You can even do it in the lobby before a game is started. And all you need is a majority vote. So all you need is 3 votes. And so what I've realized recently...
Wait, for what game? For what game is this?
For Rainbow Six Siege.
Okay, cool.
There's a vote to kick system. And now that the game is kind of in its later dying stages, where the only people who are on who are the people who really enjoy it, you know, there's not really many casual players or new players.
Yeah.
What I've realized is this horrible elitism that's sprung up, where if someone who's brand new to the game joins a lobby, people will vote to kick that person before the game even begins.
Yeah.
And that's fucked up. Because if you think about that, right, if you're this cool kid in this lobby and you're so good that you don't want your team to get taken down by this new kid, so you vote him out, imagine how many times that's happened, right?
Yeah.
Imagine that player may not even be bad. That player may have, you know, played at someone else's house, right? And they're like, "Oh, I'll get this game. You know, it's probably like $15 now. It's probably cheap." And they're trying to join lobbies, and they're getting kicked out by players, because you get to see. It's not like you're just disconnected. You get to see as people vote for you in real time to get kicked out.
Yeah.
Like, that's horrible. And some of my friends do it too. I'm like, why? Why would you do that? Like, it's the shittiest thing to do to a community that I've ever even seen.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a different level of player responsibility, because elitism has like a lot of different components, right?
Yeah.
Elitism has like its direct social implication, which Destiny had a problem with. And then it has this kind of mechanical implication in which players can actively vote out, in this very like Darwinian way, the shittier players.
Yeah.
And how do you combat that? Because the voting system's great, right? Because the voting system can actually be a way for like people who are just trying to play the game to kick out team killers that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Right? If you're this asshole who's trying to get in his quota of 1 team kill per round, and 3 people hate your guts, well, you'll get kicked out of that lobby, and that's really cool. But how do you combat this? How do you combat both those things at the same time? How do you keep the playing, you know, how do you keep the majority vote clean? You know?
Yeah, that one's a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're anytime, like, any system that'll let you kick people who are shitty will let you kick people who are, like, just not good at the game, or low level.
Exactly.
Well, it's...
Yeah.
Don't be a shitty person.
I don't
Here's
know.
the thing.
I don't design video games.
It begs the question, because I really like the vote to kick system. It's really cool. It's a way for players to, like, you know, police their own matches in a way that an automatic system can't, right? Because like we talk about, every video game has like a, hey, you can't get X team kills because if you do, you'll get kicked out of a match, right?
Yeah.
Every game has that, but the only time you can kick a player before they reach that is with a voting system like this, which is really cool, you know, for the reasons we've already suggested, for the fact that like only a human can judge whether an act was malicious or not.
Yeah.
You know, the first time it happens, which is really neat, and it's a really cool way. It's like almost like an automatic what was it called? I think it's called the automatic Turk system of policing that only humans can do, and so you're capitalizing on your human players to do that. But yeah, do we deserve a system like that? You know, are we as humans?
It's
is
the
the
system
majority
we deserve,
vote,
not the system we have right now.
Yeah, is a majority vote system like? Is it truly just? You know?
Getting philosophical.
Yeah,
about the fucking
I
squad
think this
talks
is getting
today.
a bit beyond video games now.
Well,
I mean, to a certain extent, does it go back to my whole like Half-Life comment, where like players, when a game comes out, when a game is fresh, are generally altruistic, but as it goes on over time, these social structures break down. You know?
yeah. Well, because it creates, especially, I feel like a lot of these games aren't designed with the long game in mind.
Yeah,
like,
that's
Destiny
really
certainly
a main
wasn't.
problem.
Like,
Yeah, no.
Neither was The Division, and obviously, apparently, this was not either. Like, where when you only have your amazing players and brand new players left,
Yeah.
how do you judge that divide, right? Like, I feel like Destiny kind of had this with the Galahorn, too, for a while.
Oh, God, yeah.
Where it's
Destiny
like-
had it in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
The main problem with Destiny was that Destiny kind of set up like a blog system so that like I think it was a phone app, and you'd go on and you'd basically, hey, I need people to help me do this mission, or you know, looking to do this mission, just looking for other people to do it with me, blah blah blah. And that was an interesting way to do it because it wasn't in game.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't like I got this on my Xbox. It was something that I had on my phone, in which I'd use it as a medium to play on my Xbox. But the problem was, yeah, the Galahorn is kind of like the easiest kind of story, because there was a lot of stories about elitism on that game, but the Galahorn was an interesting one because eventually it kind of became a lot of like a stipulation.
Yeah.
Where people were like, hey, looking for, you know, people to help me do this mission, Galahorn required.
Yeah.
But the Galahorn is a weapon, a very rare weapon in the game if you don't know Destiny, that had a very low percentage drop rate. And so basically, these people were seeking out other players basically by random chance, right? Because I knew a lot of good players, a lot of really good players that just didn't have it.
Yeah.
Right? But your only way to get it was to play these types of missions. But the requirement to play these missions was that you had it. Right? And so
the problems become immediately apparent.
And the problem was that Destiny didn't want to make their server make random join servers for some of their harder games, because they were like, no, you know, players should play a game in which they know who they're playing with. You know, they seek out the best players to do these matches with, you know, to make the experience more clean, so that you wouldn't get those matches with the fucking team killers, or, you know, people who just wanted to fuck off, or people who would give up when things got hard. So kind of like an opposite problem of what Rainbow has, right? Where me as a player, if I'm using the blog and I don't have this mystical Galahorn, I basically can't get one. And so it basically becomes a Galahorn club, where the only people who could play the game were the people who already had the only stipulation to play the game, right?
That would have been a much better title for Destiny. Galahorn Club.
The Galahorn Club? Yeah, exactly.
It's a good band name.
So, like, where do we draw the line, right? Do these systems evolve over time? Which is, I think they do. Kind of going back to my Half-Life.
You
comment
can't. I feel
earlier.
like you can't for sure as a designer know every twist and turn that your game is going to take, right? Like, there are kind of emergent systems to a point where you kind of just set this logical path. Right, and then like things will happen that you would not have called. Like, I'm sure Bungie didn't intentionally and we're gonna set it up so that you just need the Galahorn and it's really fucking hard to get.
Yeah.
And like, you know, that was not their intention, because that blocked out a lot of play, especially for newer players. It's just stuff you just couldn't do in the game.
Well, the different thing with the Galahorn was it also just blocked out gameplay for unlucky players.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, which it wasn't skill based. I think that was the most interesting thing, because like a lot of the elitism, right, in games like Rainbow Six Siege are purely based on the numbers that you've been able to create. But you need to play with good players in order to get those numbers up, and that creates that catch-22. The catch-22 in Destiny was that it had nothing to do with your skill level. You'd have absolute shitheads, people terrible at the game, who had a Galahorn. But they were being able to play the game longer than other players who may have been much better than them just because they got lucky. How do you avoid both of those systems at the same time?
I think, and I don't know how this exactly would work specifically in a game, But I think that you would need some sort of system that rewards you for kind of reaching back down and helping players who are below you.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know exactly how you would initiate something
that's
like
not
that.
Even, honestly, that's not even that tough.
You don't think so?
No, I mean, games like this crunch a lot of numbers, right?
Yes.
Both of the Rainbow Six and Destiny, you know, they crunch kill death, win ratios, you know, even short-term numbers like comparative kill death and stuff like that.
Yeah.
These games are constantly crunching numbers.
And just data, yeah.
Yeah, and so you could definitely give... That's a really interesting system.
Yeah, because then it's like...
Gives you an incentive.
Yeah, because then it's like, oh, cool, I'm in a lobby where everybody is amazing. Cool, I can really boost my stats right now and get some nice, like, KTDs or whatever. Or, like, everyone here has a Galahorn. Like, we can really get far in whatever dungeon and get some loot. But then you have that, like, incentive already built into the game. But if you had some sort of system where helping other
lower players
helps
gave you a larger boost, yeah, like a teaching bonus.
Yeah, then it's like, oh, well, there's this guy, like,
which is funny.
5 of my team is good, and then there's this one guy who's a low level. Okay, I'm gonna get as far as I can with this 5 of my team, and then help the low level guy in X way and get X reward for that. Like, it creates like a positive situation, kind of no matter who or what is with your party.
I think what we're generally getting at with all of these discussions is that the problem with online gaming and player responsibility is that people don't give a shit.
Yes. You have to make
and
them.
that you need personal incentives. Like, if you would talk about mirror damage, which I think was the first thing we talked about, I think the reason mirror damage is good isn't because it necessarily creates an incentive, but I think it kind of puts friendly fire in, like, a very interesting way into the player's head, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, when you deal damage to a friendly, you deal damage to yourself. And when damage is dealt to your character, you're like, fuck. Like, instantly. It's a very guttural reaction of, like, oh shit, this is my only input system for staying alive, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that I don't want to shoot at someone because I know it's going to hurt me. It's that
it puts the empathy back into context.
Loop. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think what we're getting at here, maybe wrong, but that you need personal incentive for people to be good in video games.
Well, also, I think kind of the cousin to that idea also is that you need, if you're designing a game, you need to think beyond more than just your base incentive. And you need to think about
the breakdown. You need to think about the long-term breakdown of societies and video games. Because, right, opening week of Destiny, right, you couldn't be like, oh, Galahorn required to do this.
Yeah, no.
Right? Because no one had it. If you were the only one who had it, someone says Galahorn required, people would look at you like you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But as the game goes on and these social structures break down and these different social structures start to take place where it's like, oh, I have a Galahorn, you don't, and there's actually enough people to back up that thought that having a Galahorn makes you better, then these secondary societies start taking over.
Yeah. Well, I think what companies are afraid of, because there's some really smart people designing these games, right?
Oh, for sure.
I think what they're afraid of is taking the teeth out of being the best player. Like, I think they're afraid of, like, equaling the playing field to the point where, like, certain players and, like, gamers are quote-unquote famous, or people think that gamers think like this, of just, like, well, I can't even, there's no points to me playing this game because I can't get 10 times better than everyone around me in level, so why am I even playing? Like, if this level 2 guy can play in my lobby where everyone's level 100, what's even the point of me being level 100? And I think they're worried about turning off gamers by not having that really hard striation between people who are really good and really bad.
Which is funny, because I think a lot of gamers, specifically people in Destiny, right? Because as Destiny went on, you'd see these kind of, like, faux altruists that would pop out of nowhere that would be like, hey, you can play with me even if you're lower rank. You don't even need a Galahorn. I'll do it just because I'm nice, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a certain sentiment of that gamers respond with, right?
Yeah.
Gamers want to be known as the old guy, the high ranker, you know, the old player, right? They want to be the fucking gaming alumni to a certain extent. They love that. And so if you put like a physical system in place, right? Even simple things like, oh, this person is a lower rank, it gives you more points for being a higher rank and for, you know, not fucking kicking this guy out of the lobby. Like, people will like that. People will even seek out, especially in Destiny, and, you know, something that has like a blog or, you know, some way to find these players. People will seek that out.
Yeah. And I think there's a certain instinct of cooperation that, especially now that we're moving now, because that's the direction the video game market is moving, is more multiplayer online, which is fine. But they still are kind of keeping this mentality of when these games were single-player games. Of people just, like, assuming people are just like, fuck you, got mine. But if you have systems that humanize the other players, then, like, you'll get, like, think of World of Warcraft. The whole reason that game is so fucking famous for being what it was is because it gave people a real sense of community and belonging and progress as a group. Which I think a lot of these, like, sort of half MMO things, like Destiny or The Division, are kind of scared to fully commit to that kind of community thing.
Yeah, which pissed me off a lot in Destiny was because they didn't. Putting the blog system on the phone and not directly in the game is just silly.
Yeah.
You know? It basically says, no, we want you to take part on this, but on your, not necessarily on your own dime because the app was free, but you're on your own time, on your own system. Like, we don't directly want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Which is just very weird.
It's because, I think there's a fear of driving away their market. And when I think that fear is a little unfounded.
Yeah, I really think so too.
Because it's two different experiences, and I think
I think they kind of create it in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, by not going all in on these community aspects of their games, they force people apart. Like, when you go into the blog, right, and I remember making a few blog posts back in the day trying to find people to do missions, you'll find people who are willing. They're out there. But when you're in-game, if you send messages to people in-game asking them to play, you will never get a response.
Yeah.
Never. Never. And it's just so weird, this dichotomy of kind of, if you make it, people will come. Right? But if you don't, people will alienate each other.
Yeah, sure. And these companies just aren't thinking through, like, the end game incentives. And they're just kind of they're just wanting people to, like, just sit and shoot. That's not the kind of game they're making anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And they just
haven't caught up with that yet.
There's this dissonance that exists that I feel like they haven't quite caught up. Haven't quite caught up yet and figured out how to do both. I think what we're saying here is that we need to design a multiplayer online game.
Mm-hmm. We need to make a
the
good
goal is to not
aspect.
kill Piggy, okay?
I think the three of us just need to be in charge of EA for like a month, and we'll just make the best game that's ever been.
There you go.
And then we'll leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then
we'll walk away.
And then the game
Never
will
to be
solve
found
world
again.
hunger, and it'll all be fine.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Good shit, guys.
And then yeah. And then we'll win.
Profit.
And then question mark. Profit.
And then profit. Oh man.
Yeah,
Talk,
I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah?
I don't know. Yeah.
Closing statements
same.
from Alex Moore.
And even outside of this, there's another kind of large topic of exploits in games. And that's what The Division is having problems with right now.
Yeah, a lot, yeah.
Is that their entire game is incentivized around raising that number, kind of like Siege is, but in this like large enough system where you have enough exploits that, kind of like where the Galahorn thing was happening, if you're not using the exploits, you're probably not at a high enough level to actually play the game at like an end game level.
That's terrible.
Yeah, right? Like if you're trying to play the game straight, a lot of people are saying that you kind of can't keep up with the top echelons. Like you kind of
That's terrible.
You have to use exploits and glitches.
Also,
to
specific to the Division, right? Because I haven't played the Division yet, but I've been seeing a lot of videos from a lot of my friends that play it.
Yeah.
And I think specifically the way it's either made or the way it was marketed, because it was marketed in a very unique way. Like, Destiny was marketed in a way it was like, hey, get together with your Guardian friends and go save the universe.
Yeah.
You know, shit like that. Kind of classic video gamey-esque kind of, you know, get your friends together kind of shit.
Yeah.
The Division was seemingly marketed in a different way, where it's like, yeah, go find people who are having fun together and fuck them up.
Yeah.
Really just fuck their day, ruin their lives. And what I've seen is that all the videos I'm seeing online of cool shit that's happening on the Division, right, or cool, you know, just cool little moments, it's all one person stumbling on a group of people and fucking them up.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying, right? Because it's cool, right? Because as a gamer, I look at that, right? And you kind of get the sense of like, oh damn, man, if that was me, I'd fuck those people up so hard. They'd be so badass. You know, I'm so fucking good at this game. But then you think about being that group of people, just trying to have a good time together, and then getting fucked up by this one lone individual, right?
That would be
kind
me. That whole group would just be like 5 of me.
Yeah,
just standing in a
exactly.
place.
Well,
An
also,
asshole
like,
comes along.
so,
It
like,
kind of ruins this. It just by existing ruins this whole idea of getting together.
Well, and there's
right?
in the Division there's 2 zones.
Uh-huh.
There's like a central zone where it's like a PvP zone, where you can do shit like
Yeah.
that, and then there's outside of that zone it's only PvE,
Okay.
and you can't attack other players.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you are even online with other players anymore. I don't think you are. So you're only with other actual players when you're in this thing, and so it creates this really weird, kind of like how you were talking about, honestly, with Siege, where, and I think it's kind of designed this way, but they didn't fully think it through, just like the last one, where you stumble across another player, you have no idea what they're about to do. And so you both just kind of awkwardly stand and like look at each other and like circle around each other, and then half the time you leave, and half the time you try to kick the shit out of each other, and one of you wins. And so that's kind of how that game is designed. And so but you would have to, at that point, make a team either of your own personal friends who all have to go out and buy the game, or online, because if you're just in the game, you're never just gonna team up with just other random people.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way to initiate that at all.
Yeah, no, at all.
At least not any, like, maybe you would, like, walk with someone for, like, a bit, because it's like, okay, we're not gonna kill each other. But then also, like, the other guy might just decide to change his mind.
Just fuck you over, yeah.
Like, I played this game with Jimmy, and that happened several times, where Jimmy's just, like, walking with this guy, and he's like, actually, fuck this guy, after, like, 5 minutes, and just murder him. And, like, and it's not, you know, I don't blame Jimmy, because that's how these games are designed. And it's not, it's really, like, a one-for-all, and there's no, like, yeah, you were right, like, the way it was advertised, it was very kind of teamy.
It's very peculiar,
They advertised it like it was much more strategic than it is at all.
Yeah,
it's really not a strategic game in any sense.
Yeah, the thing that struck me about the Division was the first in-game kind of in-game footage that I saw of the game. Was basically these guys on a team all getting together, getting these loot, you know, killing the enemies, and it was like, okay, it's cool, it's a little team-based game. And then the helicopter comes in, and one guy just massacres them all. And I was like, oh, okay. What makes me want to play this game, right? Because you think about it, and like I said earlier, instant reaction, oh man, that would be so cool to be that guy. That guy just fucked over all those people, took all the loot, and just left, right? And that's so cool. But if you start thinking about the statistics, for every one of those guys, there's 7 dudes that were fucking massacred, right? And so just break the numbers down, you're most likely gonna get massacred a lot more than you're the guy doing the massacring. And so, in a
statistically speaking.
Yeah, just by the numbers. And so I look at that, and I look at this advertising as one of the first things I saw. I don't know if it's one of the first things they put out there, but I'm like, what, as a gamer, makes me want to play that?
Yeah.
Right? You've just showed the worst part of your game. You know, the part where you get together with people who you assume are friends, and then you get fucked over in the end like nothing happened.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's the worst. That's literally the worst part of your game.
And also the, like, quote-unquote, like, the large group raids that they just released.
Yeah.
People were thinking it was going to be like Destiny, like, kind of like a dungeon thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's literally just, like, guarding a point while waves come at you. and it completely is just like not fun and is completely separate from anything else you do in the game, and isn't really like creative. It's just like a wave mode that's online with other people, and there's no like sense of like adventure to it. It's just like a thing that happens, and then you get loot at the end, and it's really all like, I feel like The Division is like a pure version of what kind of Destiny was kind of leaning towards, but didn't completely do, which is good, of just like, it's all about getting a higher loot. And why do you have more loot? So that you can then get even more loot.
More loot.
And there's nothing outside of just the intrinsic, like, I got stuff, like, appeal to the game. And it was,
which is terrible, because that's basically what games turn into, right? It's not what they start out as.
Or you can,
so you've basically skipped that whole beginning period where your game is fun and altruistic, and just gone straight into what your game feels like a year after it's been released.
And, like, you can do that well. Like, okay, it's kind of a weird thing to compare it to, but, like, you look at Minecraft. Minecraft is the epitome of, like, I'm gonna get stuff. Why am I getting this stuff? Why, to get the next stuff, of course. And, like, well, why am I getting that next stuff? To get the stuff that's even stuffier than that. Like, it's just like it's a never-ending progression of, like, I'm gonna get things so I can get more things. But the game's designed around that. Whereas I feel like things like The Division is not.
One thing that disturbed me about, like, kind of, like, the week after The Division came out, and how people were talking about how there's a rivalry between that, or pseudo-rivalry between The Division and Destiny, is that Destiny is more than a year old. And what concerned me about that up front was, like, Destiny is a very different game now than when it came out. And so for The Division to come out and instantly be competing with it is a little strange, right? And it kind of goes back to what I just said, you know, just a few seconds back, that it's like, it's kind of a game that came out the way a game would feel a year after it's been released. And that's a little disturbing, because, like, and I think this kind of echoes some of the points you're saying about how, like, you know, the exploits in the game and how, like, you need to use them to be the upper echelon. That's what's supposed to happen a year after your game is released.
No, I think it was Kotaku had, like, an opinion article from one of their editors that was like, The Division is broken and it can't be fixed. Like, basically detailing that exact point. Is just like, it's already to a point of just, like, so fucked that no amount of balancing can unfuck what's been fucked.
Which is literally how Destiny was, like, end of year one. Because at the end of year one, you didn't have any new players coming in, right? It was just, that's the way the game is. It's fucked, you have to deal with it. But if your game has been out for a year, and you've gotten to that point where you're going to have a bunch of people who are okay with that, your game can't be that way, you know, out of the start. You can't have that, you know?
No, I bet the long game, like, in like a year and a half, Jesus, The Division is gonna be like a barren waste. Like, no one's gonna be playing. Like, Destiny at least has some, like, longevity to it. I don't think The Division, and maybe I'll eat my words in a year and a half, but I don't think The Division is gonna have any longevity to it.
It just doesn't seem like it's been able to, like, create, like, a fan base, really. So.
No, not really. The only people that I've ever met or heard about that really like it are, like, I have, like, just a certain other group of friends who are really into it, and I have, like, 3 people that I know that are super into it, and they're the only people that I've ever met or heard of on the internet or anywhere that are, like, super into it. It's weird. It's got its defenders. It doesn't seem to have its fans. If that makes sense. Like, every time I see The Division mentioned, it's always in the context of, like, no, you're wrong about your opinion on The Division. I don't think I've ever seen anyone comment, like, hey, I really like The Division. You know what I mean? Like, Extra Credits just did a video on it, and, like, the entire comment section is just like, you're wrong about not liking it. And it's like, well,
that's it.
How and why, and then why do you like it? It's just like, it's creating this really weird this culture around it that's just not sustainable. I don't think. As soon as it's not, like, the game of the moment and no one can be passionate about it anymore, it's just gonna, like, fizzle out.
The interesting thing is that kind of mirrors a lot of, like, thoughts that people had about Destiny late game, kind of like, you know, year in, year and a half in. But like the reason you have those people is usually those people who are defending it are people who've grinded the fuck out of the game.
Yeah.
And so they need to justify it to themselves in a way.
Yeah.
But like, who has to justify what's probably been like maybe a month tops of grinding?
Yeah.
To themselves, you know, that's a weird sentiment in a way. Like, what do you have to justify? What do you have to defend, you know?
Yeah. Just, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Designers need to think about things. They don't think about things enough.
Yes.
Squad talks.
Players. Yeah, squad talks.
That's the episode, folks.
Thanks for
I'm just
listening.
gonna have the soundbite of me saying that looped for 45 minutes.
Oh,
and
boy.
that's just gonna be effectively the same thing as the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could honestly take down the rest of our podcast and just upload
replace
that
it, yeah.
in their spots, yeah.
Designers need to heck, that could be most of the GameWorx episodes too.
Hell, that
Well.
could be half of YouTube.
Yeah, designers need to think about things.
We did it, guys. We cracked the code.
We cracked the code. People need to work harder at being better.
So, are we done? Is that it?
Yeah,
I hope so.
I think this
Like-
has reached a critical
Have
mass.
we peaked? We've peaked. All right, well, thanks for listening, everybody. That was the game design squad.
That was
Talks.
something. That was really something.
We'll see you guys next time. Alex, Ethan, and Feck signing out for the last time.
No! No!
Gunshot
As-
noise.
Yeah.
Probably gonna
boy.
put one in there. Maybe three
Three in
gunshots
there.
and
Yeah, I
like
was
a
about
body
to say put
falling
three.
noise.
Oh. Only 2 bodies falling there.
Oh shit.
Ooh, wait, no, that's even better. Only put 2 gunshots. And then put the sound of running.
Two spring to mind. One that I got just this week. There was
It uses QTEs to raise the stakes instead of lowering them, raising the tension of the games with the real-time choices you have to make.